Rules and procedures will follow for tonight's meeting.
Good evening, and welcome to tonight's meeting of the Town of Babylon Zoning Board of Appeals. The following is the procedure that will be followed tonight. The matters will be called in the order they appear on the calendar, with adjourned matters being called at the end of the regularly scheduled matters. Matters cannot be heard prior to their published scheduled time. When your matter is called, please submit the affidavit of posting to the secretary and proceed to the podium and give your name and address. The chairperson will then swear you in and read into the record information we have from your application, comments from various town departments, and any correspondence received on your application. The chairperson will then ask you to make whatever presentation you wish to make to the board. After you have made your presentation, the board will ask whatever questions the board deems appropriate, and then we will ask for comments from the public. If you wish to speak for or against an application, we ask that you wait until you're acknowledged. Come forward, give us your name and address, tell us where your property is in relation to the property that's in question tonight, and then please direct your comments to the board, not the applicant or the applicant's representative. We have to keep a record, and we cannot do that if there are people talking over each other or cross conversations. If someone has spoken for or against an application, and they have said exactly the same thing that you wish to say, it will have the same force and effect in the record if you give your name and address, are sworn in, and say that you join in those comments. If you have anything additional to say, please don't hesitate to do so, but keep in mind that you will be given only one opportunity to speak. After the public has spoken, the board may ask the applicant to come back to answer any questions that may have come up as a result of the public comments, or for the applicant to summarize. When the applicant comes back to answer any additional questions, if that happens, that does not start a second round of public comments. Once the matter has been heard, various things may occur. The board may decide the application immediately. It may reserve decision. If the board reserves decision, that does not mean the matter is approved or denied. It just means that the board needs more time to decide, may want to go out and look at the site again, or might want to review the documents and testimony further before making a decision. In either event, the applicant will receive the board's decision in writing shortly after the board makes its decision. If the application is approved, that does not mean that you can then go ahead and start construction or whatever it is that you requested from the board. You will have to wait for the building permit to be obtained from the building department before your go-ahead. On some occasions, the matter may be continued for another night. If it is continued, in most cases it will be for the submission of documents, a new survey, new plans, or something of that nature. If that's the case, no one needs to come back on the new date. The documents will be submitted and no further testimony will be taken. On rare occasions, a matter may be continued for future testimony. If that's the case, then people would have to come back to testify. If matters are adjourned at an open meeting on the scheduled date of hearing, no further notice need be given unless specifically required by the board on the date the adjournment is granted. 3 rules that may affect your ability to proceed tonight. 1. If the sign was not posted for 10 days, we cannot hold the hearing tonight. 2. If you commence this proceeding while you own the property, but no longer own the property, and you are here now to continue with the application, you will need either the written consent of the new owner or the new owner to be present for the hearing. This situation could come about if you sold your house or building, money was held in escrow at closing for a certificate of occupancy or permit, and you're here tonight to clear that up. Lastly, if your application is a commercial application and it's other than a renewal, and there is more than one tenant in the building, then you need your landlord to be here. Is there any applicant that has any difficulty with those situations and would need an adjournment tonight?
Is there anyone that would need an adjournment? Please rise and join the board in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. First application is application 24-163 of Chester Hazel, property located in West Babylon. Name and address for the record, please.
Sure. It's William Hennessy, architect, with offices at 11 Chester Court in Huntington, New York.
And do you affirm to tell the truth?
Yes, I do.
For the record, we have a Planning Division memo dated September 10, 2024. There is a letter in here from you concerning the kitchen and the definition of what would be a kitchen. Department of Environmental Control memo dated September 18, 2024. If approved, this application will not result in significant impact. Suffolk County Planning memo dated September 17, 2024. It's a matter of local determination. Take no position for or against. Tax map acting as an area map. And survey by Robert Friedel, dated 7/26/77. And
Chairman, there's a site plan by William J. Hennessy dated March 19th, 2024, and 5 pictures.
okay, what would you like to tell us about the application?
Well, the existing house is currently a 3-bedroom, 1.5-story cape, which was constructed in 1954 and maintains a non-conforming front yard setback of 25 feet. In Residence B, the required front yard setback is 30 feet. We did do a FOIL search, seeing if there was any previous variances issued on the property for the original construction. That proved to be no record on file for any previous Zoning Board of Appeals applications. My client has owned the property since 1977, has always been in good standing here in the town of Babylon for approximately 47 years. They desired to, rather than move to a larger home, since they've been well established in this community, they wanted to modernize their existing home, essentially by creating a little bit more floor space, an open floor plan. The proposed improvements included a 4-foot deep by 14-foot, 1-story front-facing addition, which kind of infills the sort of the left corner of the front of the house, maintaining the same 25-foot setback, and then going up 2 stories with a 10-foot by 30-foot wide addition, the full length of the house, essentially to create a 2-story home and expand 2 bedrooms on the second floor. The application also includes a front roof-covered portico, 6-foot wide by 4-foot deep, which effectively reduces the non-conforming front yard from 25 feet to 21 feet. There are other interior enhancements that aren't really affected by the zoning. My client essentially was making an investment somewhere in the neighborhood of $350,000, which obviously will improve the value of his home as well as the value of some surrounding homes. I do have some sample photos from houses on Fulton Street. One in particular is very similar to what we're asking to do as a 2-story house with a front portico. I just want to submit this for the record. We believe the improvements that we're asking for are certainly within keeping of Residence B zone within the town of Babylon. Essentially, we're asking the board to respectfully approve our application. That completes my presentation, and I'll answer any questions that you might have.
Okay, thank you. Turn the hearing over to Mr. Shepherd.
Evening, how are you?
Good. How are you,
Good.
sir?
So on your floor plan, in your plans, it shows a sink and a refrigerator on the second floor.
That's correct. There's a home office that the client uses up there. Those are just for convenience. It does not raise to the level of a kitchen.
There will be no cooking facilities?
There are no cooking facilities
Counter
now and
space?
no plans for the future.
Counter spaces or anything like that?
There's a working counter, but without cooking equipment, it doesn't reach the level of a kitchen by New York State Code definition.
Okay, and what's the purpose? What's the purpose of the extension?
Well, essentially, they wanted a little bit more floor area, and they wanted the ability to create an open floor plan. So we're moving the kitchen from the back of the house to towards the front. that opens up some space in the back for a dining room, access to the side porch, and also by infilling the front, gives us more floor area on the main living area to be able to open the plan and have better circulation for when they want to entertain friends. He wanted a more modern look, and in keeping, I understand that there's some new houses that are proposed across the street from this property that have already been approved, that are a two-story style home. So I think my client was basically looking to make an investment in his home that was comparable to what's coming, and also what's also seen on the street.
Okay, so, just if I understand this right, you're gonna come out flush with what is existing now, the gable roof?
That's
right there?
correct.
And then 4 feet more for the
For the
portico?
roof-covered portico.
Okay. I have no further questions, Mr. Chairman.
Any other questions from the board? Would anyone like to be heard on this application? For the record, there are none. At the bottom, no accessory apartment.
So you agreed that there'll be no accessory apartment?
There's no intention to put any accessory apartment here. It never has been.
Okay.
I believe that came about from some prior summons from the previous homeowner 47 years ago, and it lay dormant in the record unaddressed. And somehow my client got dragged into this.
So you would agree there'll be no accessory apartment?
No, there's no
We're going to condition it on that.
Absolutely.
Okay. Good? Yeah, that's good. I did. Would anyone like to be heard on this? I think I asked that, but, okay, thanks. Okay, we're going to close the hearing, we're going to reserve decision, you'll get the decision in the mail.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Next application is application 24164 of Linda Pavlico, property located in West Babylon. Name and address for the record?
How you doing? My name is Anthony Pavlico. This is my mother, Linda Charles Pierre.
Okay.
112 Bond Street, West Babylon.
Okay, I just need like your names for the record.
Oh, Anthony Pavlico.
Okay, and mom's name?
Linda Pavlico.
Okay. And do you both affirm to tell the truth?
Yes.
For the record, we have a Planning Division memo dated September 10th, 2024, environmental control memo dated September 18th, 2024. If approved, this application will not result in significant impact. A survey by Paul Bolton dated June 1st, 2023, tax map acting as an area map, and,
Chairman, there's 8 photographs.
okay, would you like to tell us about the application?
Sure. We were issued a second-story permit to build up our house. We had two matters that we had to legalize, containing a swimming pool, two rear sheds, and a rear yard patio patio. So we're just here to show the pictures of what was constructed and see if it was okay with the locations that they were put in.
Okay, turn hearing over to Mr. Shepherd again.
Good evening, how are you?
How you doing?
So when was the pool constructed?
May 2022.
And you didn't get any permits or anything for it then?
When we had originally purchased through the company, they said we didn't require any permits. So we kind of just went off what they had told us. And
Was up ground.
since he said it was above ground, he went through the town things with us at the time. And later on, we realized that it wasn't to code.
Okay, and the shed, I see it's plastic. What's it sitting on? Is that wood?
Wood framing, yeah.
So can it be moved to a conforming location?
Conforming would be 8 feet off that side lot.
Well, yeah.
I mean, the way it's set up now, I don't think it would be able to, no.
All right, would you agree that if it ever came down and needed to be relocated, that you'd put it in a
Of course.
conforming location?
Yes.
Okay. And if the pool is ever taken down and rebuilt, well, would you put it in a conforming location?
Yes, correct.
Okay. I did a drive-by the house, and I saw a commercial vehicle in there with tables and blow-up toys.
Yeah, that
and-
was moved the other way.
I'm sorry?
That's no longer there.
Are you running the business out of the house, or?
No, I have a yard in West Babylon. I just had it there for a day.
Okay. I have no further questions, Mr. Chairman.
Any other questions from the board? Would anyone like to be heard on this application? For the record, there are none.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to approve application 24-164 with the conditions that the shed ever be taken down and rebuilt, and it be rebuilt in a conforming location. If the pool is ever taken down and needs to be rebuilt, be put in a conforming location. How about the pavers? Can we do anything about the pavers off the
As far as what?
property line?
Pavers off the property line? Which ones are you talking
Okay,
about?
additional pavers shall maintain. Okay, just
That was the rear
maintain, you
pavers,
just
yeah.
need to maintain 2-foot setback off the pavers, off the,
There's the ones that are on the survey that we have in the backyard. There's nothing 2 feet behind the setbacks. Talking about the pavers in the rear? Yeah, there's no 2 feet off the property line in the back.
okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next application is application Michael and Veronica Romero, property located in Deer Park. Name and address for the record, please.
Michael Romero, 301 West 18th Street, Deer Park, New York, 11729.
Ma'am,
Veronica Romero, 301 West 18th Street, Deer Park, New York, 11729.
and do you both affirm to tell the truth?
Yes.
Do.
For the record, we have a planning division memo dated September 10th, 2024, environmental control memo dated September 18th, 2024. If approved, this application will not result in significant impact. A survey by Jason Lettingham dated November 2nd, 2021, tax map acting as an area map, and
Chairman, there's 3 photographs.
Mr. Chairman, we're missing the affidavit of post.
I emailed it.
You emailed it to zoning comments?
Yes, but apparently it wasn't going through, so the person said she was gonna, I guess, forward it to you. But yeah, that's why I emailed it.
Okay. We didn't receive it. I'll check tomorrow, and then we'll contact you if we still don't have it.
the sign was posted for the 10 days?
Yes.
Okay, it was
Do
posted,
you want to
okay,
see
so-
it? I have it on my,
I was there today, it's posted, I saw it.
I have it on my phone, the affidavit.
You can present to the board. I'll give you my email. You can send it to me.
Okay.
Okay, what would you like to tell us about the application?
You can present first, and then I'll.
Yeah.
Oh,
just-
okay.
What would you guys like to tell us about the application?
Well, we had a pool installed. We hired a contractor to put pavers in and also redo our front. When we applied for the pool, we learned that we had an illegal wood deck in the front of the house. So we ended up basically, like I said, redoing the front. They never told us that when we put the pavers in that we went past whatever the code is for the town. So we learned when you guys came to close out the permit or the violation with the front deck. So we're applying now for a variance because of that.
Okay, thank you. I'll turn the hearing over to Mr. Croce.
Good evening, how you doing tonight?
How you doing?
So how long ago was the pool installed?
Pool was installed
2021.
2021? And you're just coming now for a final CO inspection on the pool?
Yes, we didn't put the pavers right away. We waited.
Okay, because the pavers weren't part of the plans for
Yeah.
the pool.
They were
So-
not
The pool was done 2021, and we did the pavers the following
year,
year.
2022.
And then we actually did the front of the house this past spring. So it was kind of done in installments that way.
All right. The pavers have to be 2 feet away from the property line, on the north side and on the rear portion of the property, for drainage purposes for your neighbors. Okay, that's a town ordinance. Would you agree to cut back those pavers? Could you cut back those pavers a little bit?
I don't know that, well, is that?
It's right up on the property line, it's at
Is
zero.
that the only option? Because like, I don't know how much, like,
That is really has to be cut back 2 feet.
so I guess I would have to speak to my construction guy because like I said, I really don't have the funds to do that right now. I don't know, I understand how much that's gonna cost
Well,
me to do.
they're brick pavers, right? It's not solid concrete or anything, correct?
Right.
Okay. And the front driveway, would you agree not to further expand that front driveway? I mean, it's quite large.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't expand it even if I wanted to anymore.
Okay. The coverage on the property is quite extensive. Okay, it's over, in the front, it's over by 2,000 square feet. And on the rear, rather, and on the front, it's over by 1,295 square feet. So for total building area, or vice versa. If you could cut back those pavers, that would eliminate a lot of the lot coverage, and it would eliminate variance number 3 and 4. So that would help quite a bit.
You're saying, so like the north side, which is like the rear, and then the left side?
The rear and the left side, correct, the north side of the property is the left side,
How far are you saying?
2 feet.
2 feet on each side.
on both the rear and the left side. Then you could recalculate the lot coverage, and it would come more within conforming to the town ordinances. You think you could do that? You talk to your construction guy, or we could hold it for another set of revised plans with those conditions? And
Yeah,
Does that include the front also?
the
you're saying?
front,
No, it is.
the front,
is- No.
front,
the
we just
back.
do not want you to expand any further
Okay.
expansion in the front yard.
Mm-hmm.
So would you agree to that, or you want to talk to your construction guy and reset, set another set of plans? We could hold a decision, keep the record open for that, correct, Kate?
so if,
Clear, you're looking for the 2 feet for the, in the rear yard.
Your rear yard and the north side.
all right, so it's be 2 feet.
That would cut down the lot coverage quite a bit.
Now, on the left side, there's a recessed garden, just to be, does that have to come down as well, or?
No, the garden doesn't have to, but if you cut back the pavers on that north side, right to the rear of the property, and I guess on the driveway too. Okay. Just on the rear by the pool, 2 feet back beyond that, the planter, and the rear of the property line.
North and west, I would think.
Yeah, it's north and west.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, I don't think we have an option, okay.
Okay? So, Mr. Chairman, I have no further questions.
Would you like to see the affidavit? Okay.
So you're going to talk to your construction guy, and you're going to get back to us and see if that's doable? Okay?
Okay, and we're going to need some kind of
Yeah.
revised plan to show the difference in the lot coverage also.
So if he agrees to
If
do
you
it,
cut back if you cut back the pavers, that'll decrease the lot coverage in the rear.
so, but I'm saying if we do that, there still might be an issue, or
It might be one.
will there still be an
No.
issue, like I'm trying to understand?
If you
So,
can do
like-
that for us.
Okay.
But we need to see a plan and a revised site plan with the lot coverage.
Okay.
And the pavers cut back.
Is there a time frame that we have?
What was that?
Time frame.
Okay. But we don't need to
We
file?
can give you a period of 3 weeks,
Okay.
How's that?
Okay. All right.
If
Does
you,
that have to
if
be
you
done?
run it,
Get back to us with the,
Okay, okay.
running into a problem, just get in touch with the zoning board and say you need another week or two to get what you have to do, but you do need to get back to us in a reasonable amount of time with what your plan is as far as, cutting that back. Okay? Any other questions from the board? Would anyone like to be heard on this application? For the record, there are none. We're going to close the hearing. We're going to reserve decision. We're going to keep the record open for you guys to get back to us, okay? Go ahead.
I'm sorry. Is there any other option besides this one?
Not really, because of the, no, Mr. Chairman, go ahead.
It's the first time I'm ever going to somebody. So.
If you want us to look at the application as is, we can do that. But
I'm sorry, can you repeat that? Because I couldn't hear you.
yeah, so the code is 45% lot coverage. So you have the lot coverage, plus you have, you have to have a 2 foot around the property.
Okay.
So that's what you have to do. Get back to your contractor or whoever you're going to get to, talk to him about this, him or her, I apologize, and come back to us with a plan that we can take a look at and then say, hey, yeah, this looks good or whatever, or that kind of thing, all right? Or if not, then, we'll get back to you with that case, okay? So keep in correspondence with us and see, what you can get done in a timely manner, all right? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
The next application is application 24-165 of Abdus Sabur.
Good evening. Abdul Sabur, and address 110 Adam Street, Deer Park, please.
Okay. And do you affirm to tell the truth?
Yes, I do.
Okay. For the record, we have a Planning Division memo dated September 10, 2024. Environmental Control memo dated September 18, 2024. If approved, this application will not result in significant impact. Tax map acting as an area map. Survey by Aerial Land Surveying dated November 1st, 2022. And
Chairman, this is 14 photographs.
would you like to tell us about the application?
Yeah, I just want to application for a finished basement. We bought this house 2021, same whatever it was. So we just want to make a finished basement right now.
So we bought the house in 2021, and
Hold on one second. I need you to just give me your name and address.
Sonia Sabor, I'm his daughter.
Okay, and just give me an address for the record, okay?
110 Adams Street, Deer Park. New
Okay,
York. Sonia Sabor.
okay, now go.
So we bought the house, and it came with a basement and a bathroom. So they just said it was perfect, so we just bought the house like that, and then. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
And then we got warnings that it was like illegal, so we spent like a lot of money to like break everything down. So we're just like, we're not having any intentions to like create an apartment there. We just had like an open basement for our own time, for our own space. So we would just like to further we hope you approve that application, because we don't have any, we removed the apartment because there was a kitchen there and there was walls there, there was rooms there. We removed all of that and it was really costly, so I don't know,
Doing great. Go ahead. Doing great.
Thank you.
and I think it says that you guys want for us to remove the stairs that go into the basement, but we don't, we only created the stairs for more safety and another emergency exit, and then the bathroom, we're planning to keep the basement as just an open space, so we wouldn't like to break down the bathroom.
Okay.
Okay. Anything else? You're good. Did a good job. Relax.
Really good.
Turn the hearing over to Mr. Kretschmer.
Good evening. You're doing good. There was an open complaint about an illegal apartment, okay? I think that's what brings you here today. When you bought the house, did you have legal representation? You had a lawyer to do the closing,
We
and do
have
a
a
title
lawyer,
search
we
on
have
the
a
home?
broker, but we bought same like that.
Oh, we
Okay.
never had an inspection done when we bought the
We,
house.
we want to make a inspection, they say they don't need it right now. So that time they close everything,
All right.
but
so-
we don't know nothing about what happened in the basement. We just saw the house
Okay.
and bought it.
All right. Basement apartments are not prohibited in the town of Babylon at all.
Okay.
Okay? If you choose to keep the basement entrance, you're going to need to cap off the plumbing for the kitchen, remove the electric for the stove,
Okay.
and remove the tub, and make it from a three-piece bathroom to a two-piece bathroom. Now, if you choose to keep the bathroom and cap off all the kitchen amenities where you could cap off, you could close off the basement entrance and put an egress window in there and still keep the three-piece bathroom. But all the walls need to be removed in the basement. It has to be an open space. So you have two options there. Either close off the basement entrance and put an egress window for safety purposes and keep the three-piece bathroom, or keep the cellar entrance and make it a two-piece bathroom. So if you could think it over and think about which option you want to take, but those are the two suggestions we're making. Also, there's a portico in the front. Would you agree not to have that further enclosed?
People say?
The front porch, not put walls up or anything to close it off. You'd agree to that? Leave it wide open?
Yes, yes.
So those are the two options for the basement.
So we have to,
So, bathroom, shower, double.
We don't need a
okay,
decision tonight.
okay.
Okay.
And
You don't,
first, keep
you
it-
don't need to make a decision tonight on those two options, but you have to consider one or the other. Okay?
So
And
first one-
and get back to us with
First on the key.
Can you explain more about the front porch?
The front porch is, well, it's a regular porch and it's open. Just leave it the way it is. You're not going to put up walls around it or anything to close it in.
Okay.
Okay? You agree to that?
Yeah, it's just,
Great.
it's just
It's
a
just a
portico.
formality.
Yeah.
They don't want it closed in for extra living space.
Okay.
Yeah. You see the picture up there?
Behind us?
See,
Yeah,
Katie, can you go- yeah, just show them. Yeah, you see that?
That's your house, right?
Yeah,
That's your house?
yeah.
Okay.
just where the posts are and the overhang, you don't want to put walls around that and close
So
it in.
leave it as is.
Okay.
Okay?
You don't have to change anything. Everything's good, just the way it is. You agree to leave it like that and not to put walls around it to make it living space, let's say, okay?
Okay.
You agree to that?
Yes.
Okay.
So we just discuss which option you want to do for the basement. If you want to keep the basement entrance, you have to remove the tub and cap off all the plumbing and electric for the kitchen. That has to be removed. If you want to keep the tub and the three-piece bathroom, then you need to remove the cellar entrance and put an egress window for safety purposes in. Okay?
Okay, thank you.
So we want to first, keep this entrance and,
Decision about
You don't have to make the
you don't have
decision
to
right
make the
now.
decision right
You can
now.
come back to us and let us know what you
okay,
choose to do.
okay, sir.
Okay? You get back? Yeah, call the zoning board office and, probably just send them a letter stating this is what you're going to do and let us
Okay.
know, and then we can move your application after that, all right?
Okay, sir, okay.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Good job.
Thank you very much. Would anyone like to be heard on this application? For the record, there are none.
Nice job. Close the, close the, Going to close the hearing, reserve decision, and keep the record open. That's all right. Next application is application 24-160 of Abril Martinez Araya, property located in Farmingdale.
Hello, my name is Case Lieberman. I'm a civil engineer at Kimley Horn, and I'm here on behalf of Target Corporation.
Okay. And do you affirm to tell the truth?
Yes.
For the record, we have a Planning Division memo dated September 10, 2024, environmental control memo dated September 18, 2024. If approved, this application will not result in significant impact. A site plan by GDB dated September 28, 23. Tax map acting as an area map. And let's see, we have some photographs. Monument sign locations, and we have photographs of the signs. And,
Chairman, we have 4 photographs.
okay. Okay, so I have one question.
Yep.
Where you been?
You know, I got a letter in the mail. Well, Target emailed me that they got a letter in the mail that their variances expired, and here I am.
Okay, so it expired in 2011. The previous, you know, so you're 13 years. You can't even blame this on COVID, okay?
Or Sandy.
Or Sandy, for that matter.
Yep.
So I guess the question is, do we have something in place so that you're going to come back here in a timely manner from now on?
Yeah, I mean, my name's on the application, so it just had to have gotten lost in the mail. Any of the last times when they changed their corporate office, so.
I mean, the signs are good. There's no, I don't
Yeah.
see that they're the same signs they've been all along and stuff like that. I mean, I go up that way. So, I mean, that's the big thing, you know? So, I mean, you really need to come back here in a reasonable time,
Yep.
okay? And the last time we gave you 5 years, and we're not going to give you 5 years again because we want to make sure you come back in a reasonable amount of time, all right?
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions from the board?
Can you just fill out one of these sheets with your name and address before you leave?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Any question, would anyone like to be heard on this application? For the record, there are none. I'll make a motion to approve application 24-160 for a period of 2 years. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
See you in 2 years.
Yeah. Next application is application 24-144 of Orbelina del Carmen Maggiano de Marquises. A lot of names here. Yeah. Name and address for the record, please.
Roxanne Trella, Dynamic Expediting Services, with offices at 231 Islip Avenue, Islip, New York.
Okay, do you affirm to tell the truth?
Yes.
For the record, we have a Planning Division memo dated August 12, 2024. Environmental Control memo dated August 16, 2024. If approved, this application will not result in significant impact. Survey by Peter J. Barzon dated March 22, 2024. Tax map acting as an area map. And,
Chairman, there's 4 photographs.
okay, what would you like to tell us about this application?
Good evening. So we're here to maintain a 9.4 by 22.6 addition for a playroom. The house was built in 1994. It was before the Board of Appeals in 1993 under case number 93-207. The original house itself had a deficient side yard as well as deficient total side yards at 11.9 and 11.7. We did look to the neighborhood to see if we could find any precedent for this existing addition. We were able to locate some precedent, not at the 3-foot side yard, but many of the more deficient lots in the area also had a diminished side yard. So we were able to find a property at 61 South 25th Street in Wyandanch that maintained a 5.6 side yard. We had another home at 75 South 26th Street in Wyandanch that maintained a 6-foot side yard. Another house at 69 South 26th Street in Wyandanch that maintained a 7.35 side yard. And there were several others. They were a little bit higher in the side yards, more in line with the original dwelling. So when we,
So let me stop you for a second. Were they any of those approved by this board?
most of them did have some type of board action, yes.
Zoning board action?
Zoning board action, and then there were covenants and restrictions placed by the zoning board as well on those properties.
Okay. Yeah, you want to submit
I can
those?
submit them, yes.
I'm sorry to interrupt you. I
That's
know.
okay. So in looking in the aerial of the neighborhood and driving by the neighborhood itself, there were a couple of lots that are the substandard 50-foot lots. And when you look at those homes, they were mostly built with very diminished side yards. You have one, there's about 4 right directly across the street. There's 2 on the same side as this existing dwelling. So we believe, although they did the work without the benefit of a permit, wherein they would have been happy to do this more in line with the zoning code, I think it does fit within the nature and character of this specific neighborhood. And I'll take any questions that the board might have.
Okay. So there was complaints in regards to an illegal boarding house. There was an inspection by code enforcement, and they didn't see any evidence of that, but I just want to make sure that gets in the record. So you're here to legalize the existing addition, that's for the playroom?
Yes.
So that 3-foot side yard is, you know, a bit of a problem for us. Is there, where is it? Is there any reason that it needs to be that close? Yeah, when was it constructed, too?
It was constructed within the past year. They purchased the property in February of '23, and they started the construction about 6 months later. Without the benefit of a permit, yes.
Was that a condition? Was that? Is this a single-family home?
It's a single-family dwelling. There were complaints. Code enforcement did come in, and they were unfounded.
And that's owner-occupied, correct?
Owner-occupied, yes.
And you would you agree to a condition if we were to approve this, that it would remain owner-occupied, no accessory apartment?
Yes.
Shed.
Yeah, what's the shed? Where are we? Looks like it's 25.
And that shed be moved 2 feet to eliminate that variance, number 4?
I can speak to the clients about that, absolutely. They're here now. If you want me to get a decision right now, I can ask them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, please. I'm looking for shed on the other side.
That's the shed. Say again.
Thank you for that. Yes, they would be willing to move it to conform.
Okay. Single family, owner occupied, we went through all of that. Okay, any other questions from the board? Would anyone like to be heard on this application? For the record, there are none. Okay, we're going to close the hearing. We're going to reserve decision. You'll get the decision in the mail.
Okay,
Okay, thank you.
thank you.
Next application is application 24-145 of Dolphin Shopping Center LLC, property located in Wyandanch. Thanks. Appreciate that. Name and address for the record.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman. Hansley Mohan of Brown, Altman, and DeLeo, with offices located at 538 Broad Hollow Road, Suite 301 West, Melville, New York, 11747. The attorney for the applicant.
Okay, for the record, we have a planning division memo dated August 12, 2024. Environmental control memo dated August 21st, 2024. If we were to approve this application, it needs a negative declaration. A fire marshal's report dated August 5th, 2024. No violations found. That's all I have. And
Mr. Chairman, there's 4 photographs. Site plan by James L. German dated October 18, 2021.
okay, what would you like to tell us about? So we need to amend this. Okay, so I'll make a motion to amend application 24-145 to delete variance number 1, requesting permission to allow retail use where none is permitted, and also to delete number 3, allow extension for non-conforming use from 25 to 62.8.
Second.
All in favor?
And just for the record, you want to say that was granted by the town board?
Yes, okay, that was, yeah, the town board granted that. Okay, what would you like to tell us about the application?
Thank
I
you,
just
Mr.
helped
Chairman. Before I begin, I just have a set of handouts I'd like to distribute to the board. I'd also like to note for the record, I have with me tonight James L. German, AIA, of German and Clemens Architecture, PC, the project architect, as well as Sean Mulryan, PE, of Mulryan Engineering, PC, our traffic engineer. Both of our experts are available to answer any questions that the board may have. As a brief bit of background, the subject property consists of 2 separate tax lots. Tax lot 43 is improved with a 1-story, 2,589 square foot brick and stucco building with multiple tenants and a partial unfinished basement. Tax lot 48.9 is a paved area for vehicle parking. Both lots have only one frontage along Straight Path. Based on aerial images from Google Earth, it appears that the abutting property to the north is an industrial use with outdoor storage of material. Further north along Straight Path is island block manufacturing. South of the property, along Straight Path, appears to be vacant land with an unoccupied 1-story structure. And to the east, across Straight Path, are a mix of residential and commercial properties, including the La Plaza convenience store and Islamic Center. The property is currently located in the town's T3 zoning transect of the downtown Wyandanch and Straight Path corridor area. There are currently 3 tenant spaces at the building, including a convenience store, barber shop, and Jamaican restaurant. Each tenant operates 7 days a week between the hours of 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. The convenience store only has 1 employee who does not drive to the property. The Jamaican restaurant has only 2 employees, including 1 cook and 1 other employee. According to the applicant, the cook arrives to the property usually around 6 a.m. and begins preparing the food for the day. By 10 a.m., the cook is done and leaves the property. The other employee is a woman who gets dropped off to the property by her husband. The barbershop is currently vacant, and the applicant is currently looking to replace this tenant at some point in the future. As will be explained in further detail by Mr. German, the applicant is seeking to construct a 1,626 square foot addition to the existing building to allow for 2 additional retail spaces along with other associated site improvements. As noted by the board, on March 27, 2024, the Babylon Town Board granted a special exception use permit for this property in accordance with the form-based code to permit the additional retail spaces at the property. A copy of Town Board Resolution number 287 has been included in the exhibit package provided as Exhibit 1. As noted by planning staff in the Planning Division Memorandum, the Town Board special permit effectively eliminates the need for variance relief to permit the proposed retail use as well as the extension of a non-conforming use. Accordingly, we are here tonight solely to request a variance to permit 13 parking stalls where a minimum of 25 are required. In support of our request, I would first like to note for the board that this site is in desperate need of aesthetic improvements. Submitted as Exhibit 2 is a comparison of the existing building elevations that include a colorized version of the proposed elevations after the expansion. As you will see, the project seeks to make numerous aesthetic improvements to the design of the building. As noted in the Planning Division memo, the current parking area for the property does not include a refuse enclosure, nor does it have a striped loading area for ADA stalls. As shown on the colored site plan submitted as Exhibit 3, the site will finally be brought into compliance with the current town standards. As you will see, the refuse enclosure has been added to the northwest corner of the parking area. 2 ADA stalls have been added in the northeast corner, and various areas around the property will now feature a landscaped area. As a result of negotiations with the town planning department, the applicant has agreed to place flower boxes in front of the building along Straight Path. The location of the flower boxes are indicated by the yellow rectangles on the colored site plan. A copy of the full site plan has been submitted as Exhibit 3. Given the unique shape, size, and configuration of the parcel, the updated design of the site cannot strictly comply with the town's parking requirements. The possibility of adding parallel parking stalls in front of the building was considered, but was ultimately replaced with the town's request to add flower boxes. Accordingly, the site is left with only 13 parking stalls in that western lot. To ensure that the quantity of parking stalls are sufficient for the property's demand, the applicant retained the expert services of Mulryan Engineering, PC. According to the traffic engineering report prepared by Mulryan Engineering and submitted to the board as Exhibit 4, it was observed that the property's peak demand was 6 vehicles on Fridays and only 5 vehicles on Saturdays. As will be further explained by Mr. Mulryan, the report concludes that even with the proposed building expansion, the peak demand for Friday and Saturday will only increase to approximately 8 vehicles and 10 vehicles respectively. Therefore, it is expected that the 13 parking stalls provided will indeed satisfy the anticipated demand even with the proposed addition. Based on the foregoing, we submit that the requested variance will not produce an undesirable change to the character of the neighborhood or cause a detriment to nearby properties. The benefit of redeveloping the existing multi-tenant building, including the various functional and aesthetic improvements, cannot be achieved without the requested variance relief. The requested parking variance is necessitated by the size, location, shape, and historic development of the property, which are inherent in nature and peculiar to the same. Although it may be considered substantial, the requested variance is mitigated by the observed parking demand as well as the statistical data compiled by the Institute of Transportation Engineers referenced in the traffic engineering report. At this time, I would like to call James German to the podium to walk the board through the site design and site configuration. I will then call Sean Mulryan to discuss his findings in the traffic engineering report.
Yeah, thank you. Name and address for the record, please.
Good evening, James German, German and Clemens Architecture. Offices at 3275 Veterans Memorial Highway, Ronkonkoma, New York, 11779.
Yeah. And do you affirm to tell the truth?
I do.
Yeah. What would you like to tell us?
The adjustments that we're proposing for Mr. Maringuez's property will greatly enhance everything. Currently, even though they're not supposed to, I have seen cars parking in the asphalt area in front of the property, which is going to be removed, turned into grass area and sidewalk with planters to prevent anyone from parking out there in the future, which was done at the request of the town planning department. We've given handicap spaces and dumpsters as requested, and the town, everything the town has requested, we've done our best to supply them. I can answer any questions you might have.
Good evening, Sean Mulryan Engineering, 1225 Franklin Avenue, Garden City, New York. A copy of my report has been submitted in as part of the larger package. Our office was asked to take a look at this application in terms of the parking demand and the existing parking configuration of the existing facility. This is a small retail center. Over my years of working as a traffic engineer, we've looked at many small retail centers. There are certain applications and certain types of stores that can survive in a small center like this. Typically, they have a low number of employees, and the square footage internally of those stores is quite small. The overall size as proposed is only 4,215 square feet. Of the parking spaces required, 21 are for the retail space and 4 are for the storage below, the basement space. So the actual retail stores are only required to provide 21, whereas the basement space is, per code, required to provide an additional 4. We looked at the existing demand at the subject site, and we also looked at the Institution of Transportation Engineering Parking Generation Manual. The manual stated that for a retail store of this size, or stores of this size, that the parking demand on the subject site would range between 8 and 10 at peak times. As submitted, the plan provides 13 parking spaces, and we believe that it is adequate to suffice for this location and this size retail store. The subject site has operated as a retail business for many years. It is not going to create an adverse impact or a change to the character of the neighborhood. The applicant is simply looking to upgrade the property, stripe the parking lot. As you can see from the aerial that's behind you, and I believe in front of you, the parking lot is currently unpaved or not striped. This will unify the parking lot, provide striped parking spaces. It will clarify where the garbage dumpster is and clean the facility up. The applicant is looking again to create a small addition, 1,625 square feet, onto the existing building in order to compensate for some of the improvements that are being made. So we believe that based on the existing demand at the subject site, the Institute of Transportation Engineers, that the 13 parking spaces that are provided will be ample to satisfy the stores that would come online once this project is approved.
Any questions? Good, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Just one additional comment I'd just like to add. In accordance with the town planning division memo, there was a question from the planning department with respect to the future tenants that were going to be occupying the spaces after the building expansion is complete. Our office has spoken with the applicant. At this time, there's no prospective tenants who will be occupying the space. According to the applicant, once the building is hopefully constructed, then we'll be able to shop around for potential tenants. So at this time, we do not know the specific uses, but aside from the fact that they will be retail.
How many tenants are there going to be altogether here? I'm a little bit.
So currently, there are 3 tenant spaces that the building provides for. So with the additional 2, it would be a total of 5 tenants.
There's going to be 5 tenants. And what are the 3 current tenants?
So the one current tenant is a convenience store. The second was a barber shop. That space is now currently vacant, and the owner is looking to lease it out to another potential tenant. And then the third space is a Jamaican food restaurant.
On the planning, not on the planning memo, on the environmental control memo, there's, on the last page of that, departmental recommendations, you need to provide an environmental assessment form. It's out of, the one you sent in is out of date, okay? And also, it's asking if we can move that refuge location slightly to the south to allow the garbage trucks to pull straight in for collection.
I'll defer that to Mr. German, because I do recall that we had several conversations with Mauro Fawaz of the Town Planning Department with respect to the refuse collection. I believe a truck route plan was submitted to the town to the Planning Department's satisfaction, but I'll have James confirm that.
Yeah, the location it's at currently is where planning had actually specifically directed us to install it. We originally had it at the end of the parking, which would then decrease the setback to that property line. However, they didn't want it in that location because they could get more parking spaces if we tucked it in the corner, and planning specifically gave us direction to put it in the location it's at right now.
Okay.
But we can have further conversations with them, and wherever they want it, we can make adjustments
Gotcha.
for it.
You still, all right, now you understand we have to update the environmental assessment form.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, we'll provide that to the board.
Yeah, construction activity agreement will be required, stormwater management and erosion and sediment controls. You understand? Yeah.
Yes, Mr.
Okay.
Chairman.
You have a copy of this, right?
Yes.
Okay, I got that. Okay, so there's two conditions on the planning memo. Facade to be updated in accordance with the plan and matching wall signs for each unit.
Yes.
And the zoning board of appeals reserves the right to impose restrictions on hours of operation. Would you agree to that?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. And so we don't know what else is going to be there at this point in time, right? Are those stores going to be about the same size as the other stores, the existing stores, or are they a little bit bigger?
Yes.
Ballpark, I'm not, you know.
Yes, approximately.
Okay. And so, and what were the hours of the current existing?
So the existing uses currently, they operate 7 days a week between the hours of 7 a.m. to 9 p.m.
Okay.
I am a little concerned because you said there are only 2 tenants currently, and for the peak hours for parking, it's nearly half already. So to add an additional 3, it's like, do you really think it's going to be sufficient parking?
So one of the things that's been mentioned is the size of the stores, the number of stores. Again, when you have a tenant space that's open and available, one tenant may take 2 locations. These stores are only going to be about 800 square feet. They're very small. Different types of retail uses will have different number of tenants, employees, and different things. These are extremely small businesses. Many of the businesses have employees that own the business, work at the business, may live around the corner, walk to the... So as you stated, there was 5 vehicles there, and if you double that number, it becomes 10. The square footage that's being added to the site is less than double the existing. If you doubled it, it would be about 5,000 square feet. So even if you use that analogy, and obviously the store in the middle is vacant right now, but the sum total of those stores being occupied is what we used when we looked at the ITE data. So we looked at the existing number of stores that were there, or the existing number of people that were parked there, but we also looked at the overall proposed square footage as based on the ITE. So the ITE studies various retail locations throughout the country, and that's the data that we used to generate the 8 to 10. Thank you.
So you currently have a vacant store. Does it concern you that you have a vacant store and you're building 2 new stores, or do you think by upgrading the whole site that's going to attract business?
That's essentially the plan. The idea is to make the building much more attractive, both for the surrounding community, as well as hopefully to bring in potential new tenants. Overall, we just want to upgrade the site. We want to make, this portion along Straight Path a lot more aesthetically pleasing. And I mean, compared to the site in its current condition, no offense to the applicant, it has a lot of room for improvement.
Any other questions from the board? Would anyone like to be heard on this application? Name and address for the record, please.
Good evening. Muzio Tellini, 1311 Hempstead Turnpike, Elmont, New York. I am the attorney and principal for the property immediately to the north and the Island Block site. Before we get into the details of the parking, I just want to applaud the applicant for trying to improve the building. We have no objection to improvements to this building. We were curious why initially, this addition was defined as cold storage, and now we're defining it as retail. That's a little bit confusing. So what was initially presented to us was the additional space was cold storage that wouldn't generate any parking. That was the impetus. Now we're saying it's retail. Which one is it? So just a point of clarification on that. Are we expanding the use, or are we sticking to the cold storage that was initially presented to us? I want to submit a photo into evidence, counsel. So the engineer just testified that currently on site there's six parking spaces being used. The reason why there's 6 parking spaces being used because they all park on our property. This is our property immediately to the north. All the cars that you see there are customers, except for the van. The van belongs to our tenant, Snug. For those of you that don't know, Snug does work with at-risk youth in the community, and it's a constant battle over there with parking. So from time to time, we would see a situation like this, and we would approach the owners of the cars and say, "Why are you parking here?" And the response was, the tenants of the applicant instructed their customers to park on our property. So we would advise them, hey, you can't park here, which would lead to battles, literally threats, cursed out. They would leave their garbage on the property, and then we have to be mommy and pick it all up. So the testimony that you heard is inaccurate. The cars are parking on our property. This is the situation that exists right now, with 25 parking spaces in their lot. Now we're going to take that 25, we're going to reduce it to 13. So what do you think the problem's going to become? It's going to get much worse. So what are we left to do? We want to provide parking for our tenant, Snug. It's our property. But we're being bombarded with customers from a neighboring property. So we have to be the bad guy. And we have to put fences around our property that inconveniences us and our tenant just to protect our property from a nearby development. Does that sound fair? Don't think so. So if I can get some clarification. Oh, by the way, what I don't know with this development as well, I mean, it's a little bit late in the game, but why didn't we try to preserve the parking spaces that are there and just add a second floor to this building? Wouldn't that make a lot more sense? We could have preserved all 25 spaces. We could have added a second floor to this building, and then maybe we could have been amenable to this and say, okay, all right, let's try to work something out. We don't want to be bad guys. We want you to improve the property. Yeah, it is run down. There's no question about it. It's horrible. Not to mention some other things which I don't even want to discuss on the record that go on this property. So in short, ladies and gentlemen of the board, you can see the conditions that exist right now. That's a recent photo that was taken. Those cars are not our tenants. They're not our cars, except for the van. We'll take responsibility for the van. That's ours. That's our tenants. Everything else doesn't belong to us or our tenants. And now we're going to expand this use. I can't imagine what's going to happen over there. We're going to get into fistfights with people because their tenants are instructing their customers to park on our property. When does this end? How does this end? You know it's not going to end well. So it's either we have to put fences and barricade our property with gates and locks, or we have to continue to deal with this, and it's going to get worse. If anyone has any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Any question from the board? No. Wait a second. Would anybody else like to be heard on this application? For the record, there are none.
Thank you,
Let's
Mr. Chairman.
clarify the first thing first. Cold storage or retail? This is retail, right?
Retail, correct, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, the planning, yeah, the town board approved it as retail.
Correct.
So talk to me about the parking here and why are they being instructed to park on somebody else's property?
So this is the first that we're hearing of the tenants parking on the adjacent lot. We can speak with the owner and kind of discuss it with him so that way he can speak to his tenants about clarifying that. I do know that in recent times, the property owner and the applicant has had issues and some difficulties with some of the tenants in the locations. I don't know which tenants specifically, but it's not the gentleman who came up speaking for the property owner to the north, they're not the first ones to have issues with this tenant. The property owner themselves are having issues with some of the tenants. So I can't speak to specifically which tenant is at issue. Our office had previously, I think in years past, met with Supervisor Schaefer, Jorge Rosario from the town attorney's office, code enforcement. Our office has been involved, not with the initial filing of this application, but in response to some certain complaints about litter debris on the site, cleaning the site up. In its current condition, it's even greatly improved since our office was first involved. So we're actively working with the property owner to both clean up the site, to get the site improved, to remedy a number of issues that were brought to our attention from code enforcement, as well as local law enforcement. So we've been actively working with both the town, code enforcement, town attorney's office to address some of these issues that, unfortunately, that are plaguing this property. And we respectfully believe that improving it, making these aesthetic changes will be hopefully the step in the right direction to getting the site clean and keeping it that way. Of course, revitalizing the property serves an economic function. It keeps the site operating and keeps the site maintained in a cleanly way up to town standards. Just one last point with respect to the question about going to the second floor. I believe, and I'd have to confirm, that the original proposal, which again was not submitted by our office, was to add a second floor to the building. Amy Pfeiffer of the town's planning department originally had approved that design. I think there were supposed to be apartments on that second floor, but then ultimately planning determined that there wouldn't be enough parking to support that, so we ultimately removed from the plan the idea to go to 2 stories and kept it at 1 story, which is why the plans are the way that it is today. So unless there's any further questions from the board, I have nothing further.
So, once this is complete, okay, if we were to approve the application and everything is, new and up to date, what can you do to make sure that the neighbors are respecting that they're parking in the proper parking lot and not on somebody else's property? I can understand why that's an issue.
Yep, absolutely. So we can take a look at the lease agreements that are currently in place for those tenants, as well as speak to the applicant about maybe having a hand in the lease agreements for the new tenants coming in to ensure that there's some sort of language in there that specifically has in there that the parking cannot be anywhere outside of the property. I don't know what the language currently states within those lease agreements, so I'm not sure what enforcement mechanisms are in place, but we can work with the applicant to place some enforcement mechanisms to ensure that if any tenants are directing their customers to park on the adjacent lots or anywhere that's not the designated parking area, that they're subject to having to being evicted from the property.
Okay. Any other questions?
You need to be a good neighbor. That's all I want to say, period.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, can I add one thing?
You had one thing.
Sorry.
Okay, sorry.
Exception.
That's our rules. Okay, we're going to close the hearing. We're going to reserve decision. Get the decision in the mail. Thanks for coming down.
Thank you.
Looking. Hopefully, you guys can work out your differences and get this taken care of. Yeah, we'll end the live streaming portion of the meeting at